I see my job is to study everything. And, this has always made you crazy about me because I can walk into a Pentecostal holiness church with people who believe that I'm going to hell and sit down and truly engage them. Truly engage them, enjoy the conversation, and actually try to find their position. Hello, hustlers, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners, everybody out there trying to turn an idea into income. I want to welcome you to Serious Business because it's serious, but it's not all that serious. Welcome to your weekly spot to get everything you need to know about making your business more profitable, but also having a lot more fun while doing it, because if this ain't fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Hey there, everybody. It's Suzanne Evans. Happy New Year. And I'm here with Melonie Orr, and this is Serious Business. I was hoping I could give her eye contact to get her to align with me on that, but there you go. She wasn't paying me any attention, as normal. As usual, not as normal. I don't know. What are we saying? Hello. Welcome. So January, it's the top of January and 2020. I think the big news out there in the world right now is don't write 20 on your documents because somebody could write any numbers behind them. Have you seen this, Melonie?
No.
It's actually fascinating.
Somebody was talking about that. No, I don't know what it means.
You have to write out 2020, or if you just put 20, somebody could go behind you and put 17, so it could be 2017 that it was signed as opposed to 2020. You are totally not understanding.
Okay, but if you put like 2020, you don't mean like you have to write out TWE and
Oh my gosh.
I was like, that's really
This
obnoxious.
is one of those moments where I'm embarrassed for you.
2017.
Wow. And I'll just say wow to that.
I haven't heard this as an issue, but good to know.
It's actually, I thought it was interesting.
20. But as you can see in my notebook here, like I don't write just 20. I put 2020.
Well, you're going to be safe. You are completely safe.
No one can forge my bullet journal.
There you go.
I love a bullet journal.
Oh, we could talk about that. You know what? We're not going to talk about that on this one.
No,
we're going to talk about.
It's an off-topic.
No,
subject.
I just mean let's do that on the next podcast. Actually, how stupid they are. Let's talk about how stupid all these journals and planners are. That's my opinion, and I'll share with you why Melonie uses them and why they're stupid. Okay, so what I did want to talk about is content. So here we are in 2020, and Melonie's writing it out, TWENTY. And I mean, I'm already bored with 2020. I'm bored. It's it's barely into 2020 and I'm bored. No, I think that
I have a lot of anxiety around it. I'm superstitious.
What? I don't even know what you're saying. What are you talking about?
The beginning of 2010 was a wild year for me, and so I don't want to have another wild beginning of a decade.
Okay.
I get superstitious about stuff like that. I do.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about content today. And
well, there you go. That's some content.
Yes. Whether you have a blog or you have a podcast or you maybe you have a membership site or you just do social and you're doing videos and whatever you're doing, you are doing to generate content. I was talking to somebody this morning, a client of mine, an amazing client. She's super smart, super bright, super successful. And she was like, oh, Suzanne, I didn't launch this. She was like, I just got stuck in the content. And I actually hear this all the time. And the one thing I've never had trouble with is content. Give me one word and I can talk about it for a half an hour. Give me an idea and I'll talk about it for a full day workshop. And that's not because I'm some kind of content savant. It's because of some of the tips that I want to share with you today and some things I want to talk to you about how you can create content. And the topic came up today because I looked at Melonie and said, you choose today. And she was like, I don't know. She's like, I've got my mind on a million other things. I wasn't thinking about content. And I said, okay, well, let's come up with something. And then we realized in that moment that, people do this all day long. They waste days. They waste hours. They waste weeks and months going, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't think of something. And so, again, never really been a challenge for me. So it inspired us in this moment to talk to you about content and how I create it and how I come up with it. So, Melonie, why don't you give a bird's eye view to, this has been 11 years in and I've not run out of things to say.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. No, she doesn't run out of things to say. And I have to say, that is not everybody's gift. That is not something
I don't think it has to be a gift if you have a few things that you consistently do. And that's what I'm going to share here in a little bit.
True. I do think that there are people who have the gift of gab and can just talk to a wall. You do have the ability to talk to a wall. But more importantly, what you do is you do have some things that you do.
Please make sure when you send this to the team, we title this My Ability to Talk to a Wall.
Well, but it's true. You can. And not everybody can. But part of the reason that you can is because I know that you stay on top of current topics. You don't necessarily go deep. You're really a service person.
I mean, okay, so this is going to be
calculate that.
This
and
is
be like, is she insulting me?
This is going to be my Tinder profile: a surface person who can talk to a wall. How does that sound for my dating app?
Sounds like some sort of fetish. I'm not sure what that is. But you do.
I cover a lot of ground, and then when I need to go deep on something, I will. But
shallow. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all.
God. But bottom line is there's a few things that I do very consistently that allow me, like right now I'm doing this 100 days of more, and I'm doing 100 days of Facebook Live. So if you're not watching that every day, 10 a.m., it started on January 6th, and we're going to go for 100 days. So join us over at The Driven Inc., Driven Inc. on Facebook. If you're not following us on Instagram, we're The Driven Inc. on Instagram as well. So go to both of those places. But I have to have 100 days of content, and I'm talking from anywhere from 10 or 12 minutes to 25 minutes. And so I've just been running a spreadsheet the last few days with just tons of ideas. I think I probably have 60 or 70 on there now. And there's a few ways over the years that I've been able to do this, and I've made it work and been very consistent with it. And the first is that every single morning I read and watch the news. Now, I come from an industry, and a lot of my clients and beautiful colleagues have beliefs around not watching the news and not paying attention, and they don't take in that garbage. Well, anything you take in only becomes garbage if you allow it to become garbage. I
agree with that.
Yeah, I'm taking it in from an informational standpoint.
I actually don't know how people don't watch the news. I don't understand it. I understand not wanting to get consumed by it.
Sure.
And watch. Now, your parents, God
my
love them,
parents are
can watch CNN on loop, and it's like they say the same damn thing. Once you watch 20 minutes of it, you've seen everything you need to see for at least.
They can quote it.
8 hours.
They will literally be like Don Lemon said.
That I don't get. At some point, it becomes really rattling and overwhelming if you just watch the same.
And when the news is hard, or when it's really ugly or difficult, I don't suggest that you don't overconsume it and you don't become obsessed with it.
You do have to be knowledgeable. So I have heard people, and I don't know them personally, so I haven't been able to really grill them on you seriously don't read a news. How do you even function in the world? If you are truly interacting with the world and you're on Facebook and other places, how do you not consume?
But this podcast isn't about shaming you.
Claims that, doesn't she? Isn't that Court's whole thing that she's like, I don't take in negativity. I don't watch the news.
Oh my Lord! Of all the Kardashians, she is the most lost, lazy one. Anyway, so
poosh, you watch poosh, y'all.
So
one of
the things that was not sponsored. One of the things that I do is I watch the news. And so just to use as an example, this morning, I just chose to put it on the CBS morning show. There were 3 things I've used today for content. I did a Facebook Live. I did something. I shot a video on something. And I actually, in a client VIP day, used something that I was talking to them that was on the news this morning. And I used it kind of as an analogy and giving them a springboard for something. So I've just always done that. You don't have to get wrapped up in it. You don't have to spend hours doing it. I quite often do it while I'm doing something else, while I'm getting dressed. Or you can just, use a filter service, a feed that gives you the top highlights of the news. So that is something that I've always done. The other thing that I've always done is I'm always reading something. So I try to read a fiction and a nonfiction at the same time. And I'm a strange little reader because I'm not the type of person who every night I go to bed and for 20 minutes I read a book, or for 30 minutes I read a book. I'm often just reading them in chunks and segments, but all of that is content, because if you are living your life in the world from the standpoint of what is my reaction to everything, whatever you see on the news, your reaction to that is content. Whatever you read in a book, your opinion or reaction or interest in that is content. So every day I'm consuming news. Every day I'm consuming some type of writing, both fiction and nonfiction. And the third thing that I've always done as well is to make sure that every single day I am consuming some type of art. And what that means is it could be music, new music. It could be a sitcom. It could be a movie. And, I could go, when Gary Vee says, if you're sitting home watching Netflix and all you're doing is streaming all day and complaining about your money, yeah, he's right. If you're doing a bunch of stuff that is escapism for you, then that's a problem. For me, that is a part of what I enjoy. And I am trying to watch what is popular. I'm not going to watch it unless I also enjoy it and it's good, because I do want it to be enjoyable. But I'm able to make a comment about the Kardashians. I'm able to make a comment about Stranger Things. And, all of these things are in our everyday pop culture. If you can make those references, or if you can watch something that is reality TV based, or it is, it's TV based or movie based, and you can use that as something that you talk about. Oh my gosh, I saw this amazing movie and blah, 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 blah. You're always going to have content. So when people say, I don't have any content, I think it's one of two reasons. You're not consistently consuming. The other thing I do, this isn't daily, but it is weekly, is I read a bunch of magazines. I mean, you know this. You see the stack of magazines that come to the house every day. I read the New York Times. And that's just, I read the Wall Street Journal, not every day, but almost every other day. I just also consume things that I enjoy reading. But it's one of two reasons, and then let's talk about this. Either you're not consuming on a consistent basis, and you don't have a plan of attack for consumption of information, or you aren't consuming things with the mindset of, what is my opinion about this? What is my reaction to this? What's my take on this? Do I agree or do I disagree with this? How could this relate to my clients? How could this relate to my business? And that's all I'm thinking about when I am consuming everything from literature to the nightly news. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to talk about reading in chunks. Because you do read in chunks a lot, and it's weird to me. And don't you feel like you want to get into the flow of something? I mean, the business books I get that you read, right? Like, you could read those in chunks. That's easy.
Nonfiction, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
fiction. No, I'm able to. For me, I read books like I watch a sitcom. It's like you could be watching This Is Us, and you could put it down for 3 weeks and pick it back up. And that's how I read books. So I actually consume a lot of reading in a year, but I do it that way because my flow is about my interest. It's not, I don't let the piece of, now listen, we all know this. Sometimes a piece of art, it strangles you in the best way. You can't put it down. You can't stop. You can't move to something else. And that definitely happens many times in a year for me, but also things that I'm reading and consuming, I can treat it like it is a series, and I can pick it down and put it up and pick it down. I don't know what I'm saying. Pick it up and put it back down. And it may be that, I'm now into some news story, or you know how I get to, I will go deep internet. We call it DI in our household. Suzanne's going DI. I will go deep internet on something
DI
and get so caught up in it and so obsessed with it that I will be an expert on it in like 48 hours. So I let my interest be the flow, not typically the the information.
Interesting. And that is how you are able to crank out content.
Yeah, I mean, I read a great book a few weeks ago. No, this was actually a few months ago, and it was really helpful to me in some content that I was creating. So I just kind of pounded through it, and then I picked up a book right after that, and I read a chapter. I put it down. A little bit later, I read another chapter. But the point is consistency of consuming, right? Is not to stop and be taking in new information every day, multiple times a day.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question about content, because so much of what you consume, though, how do I put this?
Is shallow.
Yeah, well, you're shallow, so we've established that. But how do you... Now, I know that you have a lot of opinions about things, but you do consume a lot of things that are kind of political based.
Right.
So sometimes when you're creating content, how do you have some political feeling about things that are personal, not necessarily factual, right?
Yeah.
They're a personal feeling about something one way or another. How do you think it's important to incorporate that, or do you think it's important to
incorporate
avoid
what,
it?
My feeling on something political or
when
social.
do you decide to weave that in and not weave that in? Because we don't go there a lot sometimes about our political feelings and bents on things, and you know what I mean? Because it's not always relevant to the conversation.
Well, for me, it's easy.
You think it becomes relevant?
It's not a business question. It's a human question. I actually see as my responsibility as a human is not to pick a side, or that I have to, I see my job is to study everything. And, this has always made you crazy about me, because I can walk into a Pentecostal holiness church with people who believe that I'm going to hell and sit down and truly engage them, enjoy the conversation, and actually try to find their position. And I'm not saying that I agree with it, but try to find their position, because I think one of the most interesting things in the world, which develops content, is someone's ability to stand in someone else's shoes, even when it feels completely impossible to do so. So for me, I can share. I mean, when I feel like sharing my opinion, I share my opinion. But I enjoy more experiencing the fullness of everybody's opinion and what everybody is projecting. So,
but what if people don't enjoy hearing your opinion?
Well, fuck them.
Okay.
I don't give a shit. I mean,
do you think it's important for people to? Because I do believe this, and here's something I want to say is I think people probably think you express your opinion a lot about a lot of things. Oh my God,
do you know how much I hold my opinion back?
I think you hold back. And I think a lot of people are scared to really go there and say, guys, this is wrong. Or, I don't agree with this, and this is happening, and whatever. Do you think that people are scared of that because of all the vitriol that exists?
Well, and there is a lot of it. A friend of mine.
Well, even now more than ever, right? Like, I think it was even hard 10 years ago, and now I think it's even more difficult for people because of the trolls out there.
Well, I think that's why people struggle to create content, is because content is your opinion and your take on something, and everybody's afraid they'll be wrong. And let me tell you, you're all wrong. You're all wrong, because I'm right.
Yeah.
And everybody's in this for themselves. Everybody believes that what they think is right, and you have to be willing to play the game of putting your opinion out there and sharing your ideas and sharing your message and sharing your reaction to things, which is in essence exactly what I said, started off with this podcast, which was you're struggling with content either because you're not consuming enough great information, or you are not consuming information with the take of, what's my take on this? What's my opinion of this? What's my belief on this? How does this relate to me? How does it relate to my people? How does it relate to my business? And so content is your point of view and your ideas and your opinions put into a formed experience. And that is scary as hell to most people. So bottom line is I think we should do a part 2 to this. I think we should do a part 2 of how do you get over people's opinions and people caring, because I think it's a great point you made. I think it circles back to people choosing or not choosing to create content. I think that has a huge impact on people. And then it ends up just being this surface stuff that no one cares about. So that's a really great question. So do you share your personal and political and social and cultural opinions on things through your business? I'd love to hear if you do. Email us at help@driveninc.com, and tell us if you do, and give us a little insight on that. I would be really fascinated to see what you have to say about it. For some bizarre reason, I thought you were saying help more people, and I was like, what are you saying? What email address are you saying? Gone are the days. That was a brand many years ago. So Anyway, love this. There's tons of content for you to create, and there's tons of content out there. You have to be consuming stuff, and you got to be having an opinion about what you're consuming. I think we'll do a part 2 on this at some point. Bye, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next Serious Business. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast, Serious Business. Please follow us on Instagram at The Driven Inc. and make sure to check us out on Facebook at Driven Inc. as well. Subscribe to this podcast. You don't want to miss a single episode, and tell a friend, because good friends share good stuff. See you next week.